Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Zach, and as per usual, we're going to be looking at Ecomi price, Omi price, VeVe NFT stuff, and right now, of course, the Omi price is on a down of 16%, 0.002395 on a low of 0.002036, and a high of 0.002967. We are in the twos, ladies and gents, everyone in the world. It's definitely something that some people have definitely been DMing me. Oh my gosh, this investment is the worst investment of my life. Honestly, if that's how you feel, that's totally fine. I totally understand. You do you can do whatever you want. I'm not a financial advisor, so it's up to you. Having said that, today's video isn't really about the price too much. It's actually about Quidd and VeVe, because Quidd has become a more common topic recently. I've noticed crypto cranes have been posting about it for a few days now, and now it's starting to become more of a thing within Twitter, Reddit, etc. People are asking, what is Quidd and how will VeVe deal with it? Is it going to be the VeVe competitor? Because obviously we haven't got a lot of competitors right now in the premium NFT space. I'm going to go over some of the things that I've seen today. And if we have a quick look, this is the Quidd website. So we see here Quidd beta, sell, buy, collection, wallet, sign up, and sign in, sign up. Welcome to Quidd. Collect officially licensed digital collectibles from 325 of the world's most beloved brands, 5 years of vintage digital trading cards and figures, 70k unique #1 items waiting to be discovered, buy and sell in USD, then cash out, backed by Animoca Brands, investor in Dapper Labs, coming soon to the blockchain, and you can get it on App Store and Google Play. Already here we see the top sales. Now here's the thing, when we first look at this website, this is already something they're making very clear, right? Buy and sell in USD and then cash out. And we're looking at the top sales. Essentially, from what I'm seeing, Quidd has a lot more focus from what I'm seeing on trying to essentially flip on the flip market, right? VeVe, if you have a look at the website, in fact, let's do that right now. VeVe is all about the product specifically that they're selling, and they aren't over promising, but let's go over that in a bit later on. So Quidd actually tweeted out yesterday, and then they also tweeted today in reply to someone, it is very early days for digital collecting. Think of the possibilities in the next month, year and decade. And of course, Toasty asks, how do you see Quidd's future in comparison to VeVe? And this answer, okay, actual NFTs for a start. Okay. After that, lazy minting, chain agnosticism, can't say that word, my bad. More collector agency, open and compatible bi-directionally, cash meta games. Honestly, my brain's not working. Importantly, education and full disclosure on what you're buying and what you can really do post-mint. Shots fired. As someone who's invested in VeVe, that's definitely one of my main concerns. Are they even NFTs that we own? They have stated a lot in the AMAs, Discord, etc. that you will be able to remove them soon and trade on OpenSea. They chain swap will assist with this. Now, many of you will know Cavell Anderson. He's actually a homie of mine from way before Ecomi, VeVe NFT, YouTube content. But he tweeted out, this why Quidd has been around for years and no one knew they existed, showed their entire hand and still had very little interest. Thank God for Alcon taking VeVe the same route you took Pokemon. Val honestly has, as someone who knows Val before this, he's definitely held back on, he's held back. He's got, he's still being real, but he's definitely not, he's not going after people, which is, it's cool. Val and I both come from gaming. I'm sure he's spoken about that already as far as his history. Jordan wrote back to Val, they got Naruto. That's cool, not gonna lie. Still more bullish on Ecomi by 1,000 times though. Mr. Beast didn't do S for Eternity. Not sure how he'll help with Quidd. I'm actually gonna start calling him Cavell because I know in this space he likes to be called Cavell. Mr. Beast been promoting Quidd for years, of course. They definitely have cool licenses, but I'll be honest, they don't have a single license VeVe can't get, and I'm very excited to talk about this later on in the video. If their license team secure that, Alcon could easily secure it just off his name alone. Now, if we go further down though, we'll see they do plan on making a, they do plan on a minting process where the owner can choose to mint their collectible. A Panini Kobe will be tremendous value. Any of these minted on an Ethereum chain will be worth big money. VeVe is like an island our NFTs are stuck on. Now, these people, and I'm not throwing hate towards these people, but it is important that we realize that I don't think a lot of people who are commenting about this are necessarily researching this a whole lot. I think there is definitely research going on, and of course you can miss things even in research, but you know, well, you can see Veve's response. They can't legally let you mint things you don't own the rights to. VeVe brings value because it comes with true ownership. They don't have permission for a single NFT at this point. And again, I understand the ownership, but true ownership needs the NFTs to be a movable asset, which of course is true. VeVe has already confirmed assets will be movable though. The project is still in early development. They're focused on the things that will make the investors the most returns as soon as possible, while taking NFTs at other platforms feels nice. VeVe platform will be the place to be. For sure, I'm holding and buying Omi more invested in the crypto than collectibles, but having purchasing, so VeVe market would accept other NFTs. And of course, I doubt VeVe market will accept other, as VeVe is all about premium, and that's literally what they say on their website, I'm pretty sure. So they want to control the quality of what's there, but if someone wants to move their own assets on VeVe, they will have that option. Realistically though, VeVe will be the best place for them, and I believe that is what Reese has already spoken about, the fact that it will be available, but no one's going to want to do it because VeVe is going to be, and it is, the superior platform for this stuff. Right, so in trying to research what we can, I tried to look at an about section, and I can't find an about section, okay? So we go into the FAQ section right here, and if we have a look at this, we have two, it seems, categories in the entire FAQ section. If we go to who is eligible to use a cash account, which is right here, of course, then we can see something that was written over a week ago. To start, cash account is only available for US-based collectors age 18 or older. In this introductory period, cash account is only available in the mobile app on Android, out now in the Google Play Store, and a new web version of Quidd coming before January 2021. We're now in May of 2021. So unless this is the new, unless this is the new web version, I'm not sure. Having said that, we are going to be looking at an interview with Quidd co-founder and CEO Michael Bromledge. I'm sorry if I've got your name wrong, Michael, if you're watching this, by the way. But before we look at this interview, I want to have a quick look at the Google Play description for Quidd, because whilst maybe we weren't able to find an about section on the website, I'm pretty sure Google Play Store requires you to make an about section. I've actually screenshotted it, so I'm going to read it off my phone. Of course, I'll put it on the screen for you to see. So, buy, sell, collect. Quidd is the world's largest marketplace for digital trading cards and more. Remember trading cards? They're back in digital form. Build the ultimate collection by choosing the right mystery packs from hundreds of your favorite brands, shows, anime, movie, comic books, and games. Join millions of fans who are chasing limited edition digital stickers, digital trading cards, and digital 3D figures. Be the first to own rare items and level up to become the ultimate fan with the most valuable collection. Here's how you do it. Find brands you love like Disney, Rick and Morty, Game of Thrones, Marvel, Transformers, My Little Pony, Naruto, Shippuden, and more. Open mystery packs and discover what's inside. That's something we're going to look at in a bit. Keep what you love and sell the rest for coins. Level up, your collection value grows. Become one of the best collectors in the world with new sets dropping every day and over 2.1 billion individual items in circulation. You're sure to find something you love and something valuable for your collection. You can also share the stickers that you collect with your friends on different messengers like WhatsApp, Messenger, Facebook Messenger, Snapchat, and others. Will never track your keystrokes. Are you ready to become the best collector? Join the Quidd community now. My first question to you is, what are your thoughts on Quidd up until this point? Bear in mind that we're probably not even halfway into this video right now. Now, going back real quick to open mystery packs and discover what's inside. Now, as far as VeVe is concerned, they will be introducing what's called mystery boxes, I think, which is essentially like loot boxes that have had real issues in gaming. I am still wondering how either Quidd or VeVe are going to get past governments and legislators that don't like loot boxes. And to be fair, in gaming, there have been issues with it, which I actually agree with on the government end of things. So hopefully we won't get into too much legal issues here. That being said, though, before we look at this video with Crypto Crayons, which, by the way, subscribe to Crypto Crayons if you haven't already. They're growing already, but they're awesome, and I love their channel. That said, we're going to look at some of the brands that have worked with Quidd or are working with Quidd. And the reason why we're looking at this is because, in my opinion, and Vel's already kind of said this, there is nothing, I don't believe as well, there is nothing that Quidd can pick up that VeVe can't pick up. If you've watched, especially I posted a video a couple of days ago showing David Yu talking in 2018 about licenses, about who he's worked with already, etc., etc. It's pretty clear that VeVe pretty much has all the same licenses and would do as Quidd. The difference, in my opinion, and we'll go into the licenses very soon, the difference in my opinion is that Quidd has shown off all their cards, as Val has already said, but a lot of what they pose is basically stickers, right? You know, there's, I think, maybe a few Funko Pops, maybe a few 3D collectibles, but generally it's 3D stickers, or sorry, it's just stickers in general. Now think about how VeVe's doing it. I mean, there's a few posters out there maybe, but realistically, they're about 3D premium digital collectibles that are actually gamified, so that of course they can sort of run around, they can fly around, or at least that's the plan, etc. And we've really seen that a little bit with Ritmo, etc. But anyway, let's go look at the brands right here. So we have Disney, Marvel, Steven Universe, Rick and Morty, Adventure Time, Game of Thrones, Naruto, Archer, Arrested Development, which of course Netflix, Attack on Titan, Bleach, Bob's Burgers, Bravest Warriors, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Capcom, Care Bears, Clarence, Coraline, Courage the Cowardly Dog, Cow and Chicken, Cuphead, DC Comics, Dexter's Laboratory, Dishonored 2, Doom, Dr. Zeus, Dungeons and Dragons, Ed, and Eddie, The Elder Scrolls, Fallout 4, Family Guy, Firefly, Five Nights at Freddy's, Fraggle Rock, Funko, Garfield, Ghostbusters, G.I. Joe, God of War, Golden Girls, Halo, Hellboy, Hello Kitty, Hello Neighbor, Jim Henson, Johnny Bravo, Leica, Lost Kitties, Magic the Gathering, Major League Baseball, Michael Jackson, Monopoly, Muhammad Ali, My Hero Academia, My Little Pony, NBA, Nino Cooney, Ouran High School Host Club, Outlander, Powerpuff Girls, Power Rangers, Princess Bride, Quake Regular Show, Rick and Morty, Sanrio, Scream Queens, Sonic the Hedgehog, Star Trek, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Amazing World of Gumball, Skyrim, The Grim Adventures of Bill and Mandy, The Princess Bride, The Tick, The X-Files, Tokyo Ghoul, Transformers, Trolls, Twin Peaks, Uncle Grandpa, Valiant Comics, We Bear, Bears, and Winnie the Pooh. Now, think about who own, like, so where do I even go with this? The different brands that we've heard here, right? We've seen stuff like DC Universe, and then we see stuff like Fallout 4. Now, the reason why that's important is because DC obviously is a licensor, or at least they have a licensor. Fallout 4 is owned by, I don't even know. So Fallout 4 is Bethesda, that does make sense. And then Bethesda, I'm pretty sure, is now owned by Microsoft, correct? Yeah, I remember them. Yeah, of course. So what I'm trying to get at here essentially is that a lot of the brands that we're seeing through Quidd's brand list, essentially, it actually makes me very hopeful for VeVe as far as the brands that we're going to see head on to VeVe. There is no way that Quidd, for any reason, like when you think about the licensors and why they will put themselves, or why they sign up, why they agree to work with Quidd, there's literally no reason why they wouldn't want to have an even better version of what Quidd does with VeVe, which means they will have already most likely licensed it. Remember, we know barely any of the brands that VeVe has licensed. They have over 150 licenses, is what they've said. Now, they've just listed 100 licenses out, and bear in mind that VeVe already has some of the most popular, most powerful brands in the entire world already. So why would some of the smaller brands, because realistically, things like Fallout 4, Bethesda, they are tiny compared to the brands that we've already seen with VeVe. If VeVe already has DC, and of course Quidd already has DC, likelihood is that both companies will have very similar licenses, and most likely what I think is going to happen is the product itself is going to win at the end. The product for VeVe, of course, being 3D collectibles, of course gamifying those collectibles, and in my opinion, turning them into actual real world utilities, I think is one of VeVe's biggest milestones or hurdles to get over. That said, I want to have a listen to the interview with Quidd's co-founder and CEO Michael Bramlage on what's to come with NFTs. Again, apologies if I've got your name here wrong, Michael. Let's go.
It's exciting times in the NFT world for sure. Speaking of which, our next guest.
Yes.
Cool stuff.
We discovered the Quidd app probably, I don't know, like almost a year ago, Trav, was it? It's been a while.
I think it's a little bit over a year ago. We were looking at, because we were talking about digital collectibles, and then we learned that the team at Quidd had originally come from Topps Digital and were the original OGs of digital collectibles. And they went over and created Quidd, got some funding, and built this thing up. And we were like, wait a second, these are the real OGs of digital collectibles. And here we have with us Michael Bramlage, the CEO of Quidd. How are you doing, Michael?
I'm well, Travis. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude, this app has absolutely exploded, and it started as an in-app collectible item with your own in-app currency, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. It actually, like, the origin.
Wasn't expecting to see Joel come there.
We're actually at Topps. I joined there in 2011 or 2012, and was sort of tasked with figuring out how you can like reinvent this brand, which is an amazing brand, right? But reinvent it digitally. And we stumbled upon a portfolio of digital trading card apps around 2013. This thing called Topps Bunt that was a pretty big success for Topps, and I became convinced that we were on the cusp of a format shift. right? If you view collectibles as a store of value, plenty of stores of value we use every day, whether it's like, fiat, like paper money, or let's say stocks. At one point they existed in paper format, right? And eventually they converted to digital because that experience was just 10x better. So I became sort of convinced that, like, hey, look, I think maybe code will replace cardboard. And I think that, we have enough digital natives that have grown up with video games that we are totally ready to have like legitimate digital collectibles that collectors, speculators, investors will all want, to own a piece of. So yeah, so I left. I co-founded Quidd. Quidd's basically a marketplace for buying and selling digital collectibles. And to your original question, yeah, we started out as very much like a free-to-play mobile game, but like actually like a really bad free-to-play mobile game where it wasn't that much fun outside of just collecting more and more stuff. And when I say free-to-play mobile game, I mean, you basically use in-app purchase to buy currency, use that currency to buy more collectibles. And back then, if you wanted to, you could barter those collectibles with other collectors. But you'll notice in that loop, there was no money out, right? There wasn't ever a path to get money back out. And so we sort of realized that, I would say, in parallel with like everything happening with like CryptoKitties and NFTs at the time. And we're like, look, this just isn't right. This is suboptimal. There's a huge element of collecting that has an economic incentive to it, right? Even if you love the IP and you want to complete the set and you want to hold it forever, at least in the back of your head, hey, if I spend $1,000 on this, I could probably sell it later on eBay and recoup some of my money, and you wouldn't feel so bad about it. So yeah, at Quidd, we just lacked that for far too long.
Well, so does Major League, the Topps Bunt app. You still pour money in and you can't really get money out.
Yeah, and that's what I say too. Like, I don't know. I mean, it was really novel when those apps came out, right? There was really a dearth of like officially licensed product anywhere on the app stores, right? Like,
but they're so damn fun. I mean, I still pour money into them, even though I'm not getting money out of them. I'm still like, oh man, I got this super rare Derek Jeter, badass.
I know. Well, and because who doesn't love opening packs, right? Opening packs is just it's like the best part of the experience, right? It's got the anticipation, it's got the rush, it's got the thrill.
So let's just keep in mind that VeVe has already announced that they will be having mystery boxes come up very, very soon.
Like the randomization where you don't know what you're going to get. It's just,
again, I don't know how legislators are gonna play with this, because I know that European Parliament are stamping down hard on loot boxes in gaming. I know the UK government, personally, is very they aren't doing a lot about it right now, but there is a what's called an act in the UK where loot boxes are going to get hit hard. It'll be interesting to see how it goes.
Awesome, right? And humans are like totally, just prone to becoming obsessed with that, and that's cool, right? But you can't do that and only that for a decade, right? You also have to recognize that a big part of real world collecting, whether it's like art or wine or watches or pieces of cardboard, is the aftermarket. Right? It's what you do with it after you have it, right? And one of the challenges with the Bunt model or the old Quidd model is it's just consumption. It's just consumption, right? And you're mostly consuming from a primary market, from a licensee. So I think what's really cool about whether it's CryptoKitties or Top Shot, or I think what we're up to now is so much of the cool actions in the aftermarket, right? And
so this, my guess, might be why they highlight this as the literal front page, is to show where the money is, I guess. And that makes me wonder, and that makes me ask you the question as well. Do you believe that this resale part of it is the biggest part? Because that's what they seem to be talking about, is that essentially this is the forefront of what their business model seems to be, is reselling. And essentially my wonder is, how does that necessarily hit the mainstream market? Because I think there is definitely a huge but niche reselling market that obviously makes a heck of a lot of money in itself. But realistically, I feel like the mainstream market, with the tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions, if not billions of people, generally hundreds of millions, are more into are mainly focused in the product itself, the fandom itself.
Who you're buying from really isn't us. It's a fellow collector,
Right.
So yeah, and I think too, part of our realization. So for the folks that are watching or listening, what Joel and Travis are.
And I'm also
to,
noticing that, look at how much, I don't know if these are secondhand or if they are bought from Quidd itself, but we all know that I don't think you can even buy anything firsthand on VeVe for that price. I don't think it's even possible. I mean, maybe it is, but I haven't, Reese has made it very clear that VeVe, for the licenses that they have, are incredibly reasonably priced.
Quidd's been around for like 5 years. We've been around for a long time. We've issued a ton of digital collectibles. Only a sliver of them now are NFTs or mintable to be NFTs. But we've been in it for a while. And what brings us to the blockchain, what brings us to NFTs is a bit of a different vector than most, right? We're sort of here because it solves a really tricky technical problem that our collectors are starting to run into. But yeah,
look at all the brands though. I mean, look at this. They've got Atari just did a big thing through Quidd. Marvel's in here, Star Trek, Funko, Sanrio, Rick and Morty, Adventure Time, Mickey Mouse and Disney, Care Bears, Magic the Gathering, Bob's Burgers, one of my favorites, Hello Kitty. The list goes on of top level IP that have collectibles in Quidd. But you guys are part of the Animoca Brands family, and it was announced very recently that you are starting to blockchainify these collectibles in the app, that people will, if they own it, they'll be able to mint it and trade it or sell it on blockchain. Yeah,
that's exactly it. And I think what really makes this unique isn't just this really broad assortment of like beloved brands. It's also that the the path that someone takes to actually get an NFT, it's a bit unusual, but I do think it mirrors the physical world quite a bit. So we are issuing new sets of collectibles that are already NFTs. We've done some auctions on OpenSea as of like last week. We're also releasing sets in Quidd that you
also keep in mind, of course, that VeVe have said that they will be on OpenSea, but again, what will be the point when VeVe is a superior NFT platform to just be on as far as actually accessing and using the NFTs?
And collect and own off-chain.
Does Quidd actually use... I don't think Quidd, based on what I'm seeing here as well, I don't think they actually use... Because I know VeVe, based on what Trevor Diet's lead content producer at Ecomi has said, that the NFTs that they do are on Game Engine. I think it might be Unity, but I might be wrong there. Are these on a game engine or are they? Yeah, okay.
When you want to, you can press a button to mint it on chain. And then the third thing we're doing with this mintables concept is old content. It sounds like such a oxymoron, but we have like literally super vintage digital trading cards on Quidd that are 5 years old. Those items as well at a future date will be able to be mintable. Now, I can't say that every single brand is going to be mintable. I can't say which specific brand or brands immediately will become mintable. That would tilt the market in a way that we don't want to do. But it's essentially our stated intent over time to ensure that if you as a collector own an item off chain on Quidd and you believe it's worth putting on chain, you have the agency as that collector to do that. And the metaphor for us is I grew up collecting baseball cards, and like 90% of the stuff I had in my binder, I just wanted to keep in my binder. It wasn't worth sending to PSA to get graded and authenticated, right? It wasn't worth insuring, right? You wouldn't slab it, you wouldn't put it in safety deposit box. But there was like 10 to 5 to 1% that was the pinnacle of your collection. That's like, dude, this is just so valuable. At a minimum, I have to protect this thing, right? And at a maximum, I want to own this thing for 100 years. So what brings us to the blockchain, I think what makes novel this notion of taking old content and making it mintable at the decision of the collector is it really mirrors that path that I think all of us took when we started out collecting physical objects. So that's really where we are now, is you can basically collect for fun off chain, keep it on Quidd. You can sell it in our cash-based aftermarket. You're looking at, listings and sales for those cash-based items right now. And if you get a number one, if you get a super rare item, in the future, you'll be able to mint it because you want that you want that permanence, you want that persistence.
Do you know
right?
if we're
And
going to
that's
be able to mint that ad? Are we talking? So, I mean, if I look at Animoca, I know that everything that they've touched with the blockchain so far has turned to gold. And I'm just curious, are you building your own blockchain? Are you building it on another blockchain? Are you using an existing blockchain? Like, I know, because with this Atari stuff, you're putting that on Ethereum and you got these gas fees. Like, is there anything you can tell us about where some of these are going to be going and where they can be minted?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't think it's up to us, to be honest. I mean, when you buy a baseball card from Topps and 5 years later, you think it's of value and you want to preserve it, you don't have to go to Topps and ask necessarily for permission as to, which grading company to send it to or which safety deposit box to store it. So like, look, I don't think we can lose if our North Star for every decision is what is the most pro collector thing we can do. And I think that. And I think in that world, it's work hard to give the collector the decision to make. And one of those decisions is what to put on chain, when to put it on chain, and where to put it on chain. So we like Ethereum. Yes, gas fees are high, but Ethereum has a really robust ecosystem. It's got multiple secondary markets that these things could be traded on in the future. And it probably will have a broader set of third-party applications that you can interoperate with and bring your good there, right? Maybe that's worth the gas fee, right? But Wax is also phenomenal. Obviously not as expensive. Harmony has some value. So basically what we want to do is build as many minting gateways as we can. And really then just leave it up to the collector to decide, you know what, this should live in my crypto wallet on Ethereum, or this should be on Harmony, or this should be on Wax, or this should be on chain X, Y, and Z. And also too, so as not to like, because we're like the least people on your show or probably own many NFTs. They've never heard of Quidd. We are terrible at hype. So the one thing I won't do is like let some speculation sit out there. No, we're not actively building a blockchain. I don't think that's our forte. But I think basically having the application layer that can issue new goods in a super fun way and that can facilitate an initial set of transactions in our marketplace, I think that's the place for us to play. But I think, again, if you want to own this thing for 100 years, if you want a digital, Honus Wagner card, you want to give it to your grandkid, I think there's already existing chains that do a really good job of that. And I'll also say too, like, not to debunk anything, but like we are being very deliberate about what is actually put on chain and what's left off chain. Like we're big students of all the elements of an NFT, right? It's not just the tokenized ownership record, it's the metadata. Like I've been in collectibles for far too long to know that like the image matters quite a bit, but the backstory of the image, who you obtained it from, how hard it was to get, its serial number, its editioning system, all that metadata really should also live on chain. And then the last little bit is like the media is super important too, right? Like you got to have the confidence that you're not just going to have the deed to the house, but you're going to have the actual house, in 100 years. So that's a big deal of ours too, is obviously like you can choose which chain you want to mint to, but also I don't think we want to offer half NFTs, right? We want to offer the full deal, where the second you complete that minting process, you've got the confidence, all that layers of the collectible will live on chain.
This is always perplexes me. There's so many, like you own 20 of this one, you own 18 of this one, 13 of this one. Why are there so many of each card in a pack when you buy them all?
Yeah, well, I think it's funny. I think you're actually seeing a lot of maybe younger NFT digital collectibles companies having to wrestle with a problem that always happens with like scarcity based goods, which is like as your audience grows, you kind of feel obligated to increase the supply of what you issue, but then that also kind of ruins like the scarcity. So what we did that I think was really novel. Someone will have to check the history on this. I think we were one of the first to do it because this didn't exist at Topps when we were sort of working there. We introduced an editioning system and a serialization system. So every item on Quidd is stamped with a unique serial number. It's basically number 1 or number 2 out of a denominator. And the denominator determines the exact amount that exists in circulation ever. And we literally built the system so like a producer can't type in the wrong button, right? And it says like there's 10,000, but really there's like 20,000. We literally can't fudge it because that denominator is so utterly important. So well, again, one of the reasons why you can have so many dupes is people collect in different ways, right? There are completionists that just love the idea of reducing the anxiety of going from an empty binder to a full binder. And for them, it's not about the high value items, right? It's about just getting to completion, right? So they're totally satisfied in completing a set with, number 1,000s out of 5,000. There's another group of elite collectors who not only want to complete, but they want to rank, and they want to have the combination of the most valuable items, which, as you can imagine, if you use Top Shot, they are the lowest serial number items. So like a number 1 out of 5 is obviously super valuable in our world. And there's a group of collectors that will just pursue those ones or those lows. So yeah, one of the consequences of trying to appeal to a large number of collectors, not just investors or speculators, but those that just love the experience of collecting, is you may wind up with a lot of dupes. But we're actually working on some sort of novel ways that I think you can offload dupes either in the aftermarket or some clever things around sort of burning maybe in the future. But yeah, that's why you get a lot of dupes.
Yeah, I have a question around that. So for example, with Panini, I think I'm like the number 30th or 31st best collector of the series. I've collected as many of those Panini cards because in my mind, I'm going, wait a second. These cards are digital collectibles that predate NBA Top Shots. And I'm like, there's freaking low mint Kobe's in here. There's low mint LeBron Jameses in here, right?
Yeah.
Steph Curry's and Kevin Durant. And so I'm like, I've gone in and collected a whole bunch of these. And what I've noticed is that if you've collected a certain amount of them, then you're able to get a reward or an award card, but some of those have expired. But in some cases, there were 30 of a card, but only 6 of them were ever claimed. Mm-hmm. So what happened to those other 24? Did they get burned? Or are you going to do a deal like you did with Marvel, where you did a mega pack and some of those rare award cards that were never claimed, those were actually I would love to see that with the Panini set, because I know there's a bunch of high level Kobe's and LeBrons out there that were never minted.
Yeah, it's zooming out. The space is so wild. It's one of these spaces that's like sort of counterintuitive, where like people always want new licenses, and of course we can't expose anything, but we're obviously very much on the offense now with the cash aftermarket in place, because that basically changed our business model. But people are really like lustful for new licenses. We get that. We're working hard on that. But there's also this notion of what do you do when you let a license expire, right? In the old Topps model, that's the end of the world, right? Because you can't continually produce more content. You can't get collectors, I hate to say it, but on a content treadmill, just constantly cycling. Mm-hmm. But with Panini, that was like an awesome experiment that turned into a great sort of business decision, because only producing them for a 3-month period and then stopping basically left a limited amount of circulation in our aftermarket that it could be capped forever, or we could have deals in the works, who knows, to basically come back strong in 2021 or 2022. But what you wind up with, just like the physical world, is this like super vintage content that, because it was produced for a limited time and then cut off, actually is incredibly valuable. So to your question, exactly. And this is where our model is not, get the 1-of-1 refactor Mike Trout from 3 years ago. It's get the Mickey Mantle from 70 years ago, right? That's what we like. We like the 70-year-old stuff. But to your point, Travis, it is on a case-by-case basis, where we're no longer producing the license. You're not going to find that stuff ever in a mega pack. Where we are actively producing the license, that's the stuff where after a certain period of time goes by, maybe the account is dead, that stuff could wind up in a mega pack. So basically, if you're actively pursuing those officially licensed NBA trading cards on Quidd from 2019, I would say count on, for those cards specifically, the only place to get that is from another collector and never from a pack.
They will never come from a pack again. Those are gone.
No,
3 months only.
Never. And like, this is the cool thing is, like, some companies don't want to exert that discipline, because in the short term it's painful, right? Because you just pump out more content, you can make more money. I think for us, being in a position to exert that discipline and say, nope, like, it's done.
Wow.
It's
NBA
actually
Top Shot fans need to be listening. I think that's a clue.
Well, no, exactly. Well, yeah, I don't want to give up too many of our secrets, but like fixing supply and letting collectors know at the start of a season how many will exist of a player. I don't know why card companies don't do that, or why digital card companies don't do
Well,
that.
they never have. They never, in the past.
Well, it's because their bread is buttered by making more cards.
Of course. We got just a few minutes left here. Mike, two questions for you. The first one is there anything you can say about is Quidd goes blockchain, about a Quidd token?
Here's what I'll say.
Possible?
We've been studying the space for sure, right? We've looked at like what Rari has done. Obviously, Rarible has done with the Rari token.
Mm-hmm.
We've looked at Ecomi and Omi and sort of like studied them. I think generally the 35,000 foot level, like, we like to be really kind of slow and deliberate and really study it before we do it, which means we don't need to be the first, second, or third to do something. Right. It basically lets us like learn from others. That's probably why when we talk about our mintables and making them NFTs, it's novel. It's something you don't see anywhere else. And I think it's going to be the most pro collector way to get that 100 years, permanence that you can only get with the blockchain. So yes, we've studied it. Yes, we've looked at. I've like nothing to announce about it, but I will say there is a role for a reward mechanism in collectibles ecosystems that is not earned via liquidity. There are a lot. Think of it this way: there's a lot of things that collectors do, and it's the collectors, not the companies. The collectors do it that sustain the hobby. And you have to realize, I was at Topps not during the boom period that the sports card market is. I was there during the very fallow period when literally 300,000 baseball card collectors kept everything afloat. The people that persist these things, it's not the companies, it's the collectors. And so we know there's certain behaviors that happen in the physical world, like working card conventions, right? Or like just telling the stories of cards to the next generation. These are things that collectors do to sustain it for decades that don't necessarily provide value to that collector in the form of a transaction. So we basically have a whole host of things that we need our collector community to do to make our collectibles, even the old ones, even more awesome. And we've looked at incentive structures and reward mechanisms that may or may not be meted out in a token. And I think the last thing I'll plug about us is we have some, not just the mobile app, not just the ability to touch and feel your collectibles, not just the drop mechanics. There's some cool things I think we can do that could distinguish this unique set of cards from previous issuances. So come check it out.
Awesome. Thanks.
Right. Okay. So I was so quiet because actually, some of you may have noticed that I was looking down, wasn't really paying attention. I was fully paying attention. I was listening. I was also doing some research whilst they were talking, because one thing I had a question about that they didn't ask about was, and I'm going to see if I can just find it by typing in Quidd VentureBeat, because they actually did an interview. This is what I was looking at on my phone whilst they were talking. They did an interview back in 2017. This is the one I think I want to look at specifically. We'll have a look at that one too, but let's have a look at this one first, because they were asked about augmented reality. See, to me, I am not, and some of you will know this already, as the channel continues to grow, which I appreciate everyone. Thank you so much for listening to me gab on about NFTs and VeVe and Omi, is that I come from a more traditional business / digital business market, not the crypto market, right? And so one of the things that stood out to me with VeVe, which is one of the reasons why I started even reporting on it in the first place, was because I'm excited about the AR, the product, not just the NFT, the fact that, the ownership part, I'm interested in the product. What are people actually buying here? Now, I understand that cards are, of course, incredibly valuable in their own market, and that's all fair enough. But I want to read out what they've said here, because they did speak a bit about augmented reality very, very briefly. And I feel like the AR side of things, the gamification side, that we heard Trevor Diet speak with Jake on his interview, speak about. I haven't really seen any of that from Quidd. So let's have a look at this. We've all collected something at some point in our lives, stamps, comic books, etc. But Quidd is trying to bring the same excitement to the digital world by providing an online marketplace where users can purchase and trade rare digital goods like stickers, gifts, and 3D toys. I feel like 3D toys is probably the closest that we can see with VeVe, and I believe that's probably mainly Funko Pops, but maybe I'm wrong. The concept seems to be generating considerable interest, as Quidd today announced a 13M investment led by top-tier VC firm Sequoia Capital. Now, actually, the only reason I know Sequoia Capital is because they also invested, I think, Seed A investment in 100 Thieves, which is one of the biggest esports teams in the world. I do come from gaming, so that's why I know that. We live in a frictionless world where everything's easier to get. Co-founder of CEO, etc., the same guy who we're just listening to. A Snapchat filter, for example, is ubiquitous because everyone can get it. What he and co-founder Eric Wood are proposing is a marketplace in which digital goods sell out and users can't get what they want, thereby creating a collective mentality, which, of course, this is what I personally, and I'm more than happy to be wrong about this, but personally I think, like, for example with VeVe, right, obviously we have like ultra rares, we have commons, we have uncommons and rares and stuff. We have different tiers of whatever the hell it's called. Now realistically with VeVe, I do believe that if they want a mainstream market of, Reese was saying that he's expecting to see at least 1 million users by the end of this year on VeVe. Now, later on, someone tweeted about that, and he said that it was a very conservative estimate. Now, realistically, I truly believe that the best or a good way to do things, and again, I might be wrong about this from a financial point of view, I guess, is allow all the fans to have something. So obviously they're speaking about it's got to be really rare essentially, right? And of course that's what we already see with VeVe, with things selling out within 20, 40 seconds, etc. People, 50,000 people trying to buy 2,000 things. Obviously there's only so many. I truly believe that if they want to have a gamified system where the mainstream can adopt it and enjoy it, and of course that is a billion-dollar industry, they're going to need to be able to put out more, and that might mean that they have a ton of, even maybe make another tier of incredibly common or very common, where maybe there's 100,000 or something, which is still, let's be real. Let's say VeVe work with DC for promotion for the next Batman film, right? And this is in a future where NFTs are already sort of commonplace and people are aware of it and stuff. Well, realistically, 100,000 people, there are millions of people who are trying to watch the next whatever Batman film it is. Now, that itself is still rare, but at least it's 100,000 very common, and there'll be however many, common, then ultra rare, etc. But I do believe that allowing people to taste and enjoy the augmented reality and essentially the product itself is incredibly important, because otherwise I feel like people will just get tired and just not bother until it becomes more and more common and mainstream, which just takes ages. Now, if we go further, users download the Quidd app, available on both iOS and Android, free, create an account, etc. Prices vary for a pack of stickers to $30 for a high quality digital toy. Now, here's the thing. They did eventually talk about AR, I believe, so let's try and find that. Okay, so I think this will probably get us close enough. The appeal to media and entertainment companies is pretty obvious, a new revenue stream, which is what we've spoken about with Disney as far as like them seeing merchandise revenues go down with coronavirus, etc. In addition to physical merchandise, like toys, figurines, and costumes, they can now add digital assets to their sales. In light of the interest pouring in from such companies, Quidd will be opening a new office in LA. Now, going over to Sequoia Capital partner who will be joining Quidd's board of director agrees whether it's cryptocurrencies, virtual goods, or just skins in popular PC games, digital ownership is becoming an increasingly important part of our lives. And that's nothing that any of us, I think, doubt. If you're watching this video, I doubt you probably already believe in NFTs. Bramlage doesn't plan on stopping at stickers and gifts, though. This is what I'm interested in. The chief executive wants to create a platform that will facilitate digital ownership in a wide variety of applications, such as gaming, music, and AR, VR. Now, AR, VR obviously is what VeVe, I think, is winning in. Now, realistically, when it comes to the brands that we've seen Quidd go through, right, and they've gone over 100 brands, realistically, making the sticker versus making a whole flipping AR digital collectible that can be dynamic, interactive, go in the vault, have all this different stuff going on with the lighting, shading, textures, etc. Different product, in my opinion, a fully different product. And this was released, it's not like it was, just recent. No, this was back 4 years ago. And we're still, I'm assuming, waiting on this because I haven't seen anything to do with AR with Quidd. Now, if we go to Animoca Brands, actually, before we do that, the other thing is he was saying about, we haven't done much marketing, we're terrible with hype. They're pretty sure Quidd has been a sponsor of Mr. Beast in plenty of videos. Anyway, Animoca Brands buys Quidd for up to $8 million as it moves into blockchain collectibles. Of course, here we have all the stickers essentially that people can buy. Animoca has agreed to acquire Quidd. The purchase price is as much as $8 million. The move is part of Animoca Brands' long-term effort to marry blockchain technology, the transparent and secure digital ledger. By adding blockchain, Animoca Brands will be able to uniquely identify. We already know all of this, obviously. Blockchain is certainly one of our main strategies, and we're always investigating such opportunities, but we have not yet made any announcements on this particular subject. We believe powerfully in digital collectibles and etc, etc. And of course, then we have all the brands that they have already, which honestly, like I say, I honestly believe the majority of brands that Quidd already has, VeVe has, they just haven't announced it yet, because realistically, and this is something that the Ecomi staff have already said, the fact is that licenses and brands, right, they are really particular about what is going on with their NFTs. And realistically, again, putting out a sticker is very different to having NFTs, especially when they can interact with each other. And we've obviously seen in VeVe Vaults, we have characters from different, essentially, universes joining into VeVe's metaverse. Now, some people have asked me about Animoca Brands, so we're going to go very briefly over it, but honestly, I'm going to make maybe another video about this specifically. If we have a look at the About Us section, let's just read through it and then see what we can find. Animoca Brands ranked in the FT list of high-growth companies Asia Pacific 2021 is a leader in digital entertainment, blockchain, gamification, and artificial intelligence. Animoca Brands develops and publishes a broad portfolio of products, including the Rev Token and Sand Token, original games, including the Sandbox, Crazy Kings, and Crazy Defense Heroes, and products utilizing popular intellectual properties, including Formula One, Marvel, WWE, Power Rangers, MotoGP, and Doraemon. Its portfolio of blockchain investments and partnerships includes Sky Mavis, Axie Infinity, Dapper Labs, CryptoKitties, and NBA Top Shot. Of course, CryptoKitties and NBA Top Shot are already pretty well known, or pretty much the mainstream as far as NFTs are concerned. OpenSea, Harmony, Bitsky, and Alien Worlds. Its subsidiaries include the Sandbox, Quidd, of course, the one we're talking about, Gami, Enway, Pixel, and Limpo. So obviously, this does look interesting. Our mission, we leverage our unique capability to develop compelling consumer applications. We'll focus on motivation, ensuring applications are fun and engaging, games, gamification, technology, foundational, mobile, blockchain, and AI, and then of course innovation, stay ahead of the curve by strategic and technological means. So definitely does look interesting. I'm not saying it doesn't. It definitely does look interesting. If we look at the products, then of course we have primary game products. Let's have a look at this real quick. So we have these different games that I believe they've probably made, or at least they've commissioned maybe. So they have Crazy Defense Heroes, essentially games that I've never heard of, but that doesn't mean they're not big. Of course, we have WWE and Undefeated, which of course will have been worked with, I'm hoping, WWE, Power Rangers, Legacy Wars, Power Rangers again, just a bunch of different games essentially from Adam's Family, Gami, and I think of it, not all of these are games because Gamey and Quidd are not games. Okay, now we're looking at Crypto Crayon's video because he covered the CEO of Animoca Brands funding essentially the entire blockchain NFT boom. Let's take a listen to this.
I've been in the tech space for well over 3 decades, so I'm a little bit of a dinosaur. My first job was actually in the 80s with Atari. I set up one of Hong Kong's first internet service providers in the early 90s, set up an early version of a cloud computing sort of email service provider that was acquired by IBM back before cloud was set up. Back then we called it application service provider. And then we were one of the biggest mobile game companies in 2011. We ended up getting involved with CryptoKitties, actually very, very early. It was a little bit of a science experiment at first. And then when it just kind of took the industry by storm, we just sort of looked at that and said, wait, hold on. Actually, this is really, really interesting because it actually could introduce scarcity and actual real economic value into digital assets in a way that wasn't possible before. And so we moved really fast into that in sort of late 2017, early 2018. It started off with a investment and publishing relationship with Dapper Labs.
Why does it feel like I can hear someone crinkling crisp packets in the background, bro?
which was, obviously now is most famous for NBA Top Shot, but originally for CryptoKitties. And as you know, we're also investors in Flow and in Dapper Labs, the company, which, we're very happy about because
NFT startup Dapper Labs raising money at over $7.5 billion valuation.
it's done super well. One of the early investments we also did was with OpenSea that recently received some funding from Andreessen Horowitz. We also invested in WAC.
Okay, yeah, no, I straight up just heard a fucking crunch. What's going on here, bro? Why am I hearing crunch and crisps here?
Axie and Decentraland and Axie Infinity, sort of a whole bunch of companies, partially to help grow the ecosystem. So we had very strong conviction to make it happen. And back then, not that many people were investing in NFTs. So you could say in a way we had pretty much a front row view on things NFT. And we started evangelizing that as well very actively. But separately from that, we are going to be launching MotoGP collectibles on Flow actually next week. And perhaps, I'm not sure if you know, but we sold the most expensive NFT in 2019 with the sale of the very first car, the 111, which at the time was sold for 415.9 ETH, which of course was a small amount of money, relatively speaking, in terms of value, because it was worth 111,000 US. But in 2019, that was a lot of money for an NFT. Yeah. And the buyer would later reveal himself as none other than Metakovan, the same person who bought the $69 million people. So there's a history there as well. So he started collecting valuable stuff back in the early days. He was also the buyer of the most expensive NFT of 2020, which was the Monaco racetrack of the F1 Delta Time game as well. So F1, and the Rev community has had somewhat of a storied history in the world of sort of high value NFTs. And we have two more token projects that are coming out, which is Gamey and Quidd. And I'm not sure if you know much about them, but Quidd is in fact the original digital collectible OG. They started digital collectibles in 2016. They have the license for Marvel and sort of Disney, Game of Thrones and everything. But of course there was no blockchain back then. Right. So it was still a digital collectible, but it was basically sort of the old school digital collectible, and now moving on to blockchain. However, when we acquired them to sort of tokenize them, at the time, they didn't really know much about it. And now the potential is really sort of fulfilling itself if you look at what the NBA Top Shot or what you see on OpenSea happening. And I think in this example here, it's just more examples of how we're sort of transforming sort of existing digital businesses and really realizing and unleashing their potential with blockchain. If you think about, owning a digital collectible from 2016 or 2017, that's actually really old in this space, right? And that's even older than the first CryptoKitties and possibly even CryptoPunks. And of course, it's not on blockchain yet in many cases, but it is. It's still a digital collectible. It still has that origin value, and so that's and people are starting to realize that. They go, wait, actually, that is like first generation stuff. That is interesting and precious. And an interesting loop has developed where the people are playing on the mobile app. I mean, if you try it out, it's probably the best collectible experience I can think of that's digital. You use the mobile app to play and farm these aspects, right? And you pay little money to get those coins and tokens to farm these digital collectibles. Right. And then they put it on the cash market. And then those who don't have time or are willing to spend for it actually pay cash for, like a rare collection or an interesting set. And it's really blossomed into this incredible sort of ecosystem.
So Quidd sounds very interesting. So to understand you, I mean, one of the first to come out digital collectibles, not on blockchain. Obviously, the plan is to bring that onto blockchain, correct?
Correct.
And then do you still have those licensing, like with Marvel and Disney and so forth?
It's there right now. You can trade them right now. Yeah.
Wow, that would be huge because one of the other projects that's really, I think, in NFT space that's kind of gaining a lot of attention is Ecomi, and they happen to have like this DC licensing and a few others. But Quidd seems like Marvel, that's gonna be big. Disney is gonna be big. So, very interesting. Very interesting.
Okay, so first of all, let's talk about Marvel real quick because something that Poor Man Printing showed us on Twitter today. On LinkedIn, Ecomi VeVe Digital Collectibles creator of the leading mobile-first NFT platform with over 250k users, 400k digital collectibles sold. Founded in New Zealand in 2018, all the rest of it, if we look at where the arrow points, utilizing both blockchain, AR technologies, VeVe offers premium licensed collectibles from leading brands including Marvel, DC, Warner Bros, NFLPA, GM, Cartoon Network, etc. Marvel, Disney. So yeah, no, it looks interesting. Looks super interesting. Obviously, I had my own reaction to it with a holy moly. But yeah, again, looking at all the collectible licenses that Quidd has, what I would highly suggest is that if what they're doing is so great, you know, they've advertised on Mr. Beast's channel, etc. I personally think that their product simply doesn't compete with VeVe's product. From an NFT cards point of view, it looks kind of cool maybe, and I've seen some people on the reviews, and you can have a look at the reviews yourself. Some people are really unhappy with it, and some people seem to be happy with it too. Quite realistically, the AR capabilities on VR is on VeVe, is what Animoca or is what Quidd will need to at least do to compete at all with VeVe. But more than anything, I am super excited knowing that if Quidd has this extensive list of brands on board, of course, we have David Yu, we have Alfred Kahn, some of the most legendary people within this industry who have already done what they're doing now, who have already done what we're looking for just in a different space, as in with the toy collectible licensing, etc, etc. And for those of you who aren't aware of who Alfred Kahn actually is, most of you will be by now, but of course he's an American executive. He was the CEO of 4Kids Entertainment, a company that is a global provider of essentially kids' toys. Previously the head of the licensing division for Coleco, Kahn joined Leisure Concepts, turning that company into 4Kids Entertainment, for which he became vice chairman and later chairman and CEO. 4Kids eventually became the largest trading entity in North America in the 90s due to its success of licensing Japanese anime series Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! And many others, as producing American series like TMNT, which of course is one of the brands that Quidd shows so proudly, as well as G.I. Joe. I truly believe that everything we have seen on the brand list is what we're going to be seeing, but in a way better product version than what we're seeing on Quidd right now. Having said that, if Quidd does turn up, I'll be very happy. I'm all about the market. I'm all about competition. If it goes well, if they start doing good, then obviously that'll put pressure on Ecomi to continue pushing even better stuff out. So I'm unemotional about this stuff, but from what I'm seeing right now, it does seem like Quidd's definitely lagging behind. And the fact that they put out this tweet specifically in response to what is your thing with VeVe, actual NFTs for a start. Okay. All right, Quidd. Okay. All right. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below, though. I'd love to hear your take on all of this, of course. Definitely interesting seeing competition pumping up. And of course, some people are very happy with what's going on here. Others obviously are very unhappy. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. I know it's been a long video, but we've been having a lot to speak about. I have also more stuff coming up today. But with that being said, if this video was interesting or helpful to you in any way, shape, or form, like it's always very appreciated. If you would like to get happening in this space all day, every day, I'm pretty much covering everything. So hit that subscribe button, keep notifications on. Have a great day, everyone. I'll see you in the next video.